Hey everybody, this is Izzy here coming to you with my review for 2019 It Chapter 2, the sequel to It, the classic adaptation of Stephen King's novel the same name. I must say, I remember making a status about this fairly recently. This book took me 3 years to read. Now, mind you, I wasn't reading it for 3 years. I actually started reading it and took a break, and that break lasted for 3 years. When Chapter 2 received a release date, I made it a particular mission to complete this novel before opening night. Lo and behold, I finished the novel, loved it, great read, a recommended read for anyone who is interested in picking up a book. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the review. It, Chapter 2, is a sequel to this, the first film, but also an adaptation of the miniseries that almost pretty much everybody's familiar with the classic Tim Curry performance. It Chapter 2 takes place 27 years after the events of the first film, where the Losers Clubs have gained an advantage over Pennywise and he is in hibernation. 27 years later, he emerges from his rest and is back on the killing spree. This film, I have to say, to give everybody a heads up, it doesn't necessarily focus on Pennywise in and of itself. You don't see a lot of Pennywise in this film. You don't see a lot of Bill Skarsgård performance. With that said, I think that's one of the main reasons why a lot of critics seem to have an issue with the quality of this film. Is the first film, since it was centralizing on the kids, you saw a lot more Pennywise, since Pennywise used the form of a clown to lure kids into an extreme false sense of security before he terrorized them and murdered them and started devouring on them. With this film, you could tell that they attempted to put as much from the novel into this one film as they could. And with that said, that explains the 3-hour length. In the end, I enjoyed it. I thought It Chapter 2 was a fantastic horror film. It was very faithful to the novel. And because of the fact that it was very faithful, you could tell that there were certain elements that from the book and that had made its way into the film, but they had to cut it for length, obviously. But you could tell there's going to be some sort of a director's cut, maybe a re-release in the future in theaters or a DVD. But I have to say, it was fun. It's definitely a lot more comedic than the first film. It's not scary at all. If you're going to the film expecting any form of blood, guts, gore, violence, then you just hate to say it, you will be disappointed, because it is more about the story. It's more about the characters. It is more about overcoming Pennywise's grasp on them as far as their mental state is concerned. And much like in the novel, the adult section of the novel, the adult storyline, is primarily psychologically based. And I love any type of story that is psychologically based and dives more into the character mindset rather than simply trying to portray them as something that they're not. The casting, before I get to the acting, the casting is absolutely top notch. I mean, perfect. The fact that they managed to get an actress and an actors that look exactly like their character counterpoints from the previous film is just mind-blowing. I love how they managed to get actors who actually resemble the characters when they were kids. Bill Hader looked exactly like Richie. James McAvoy looked exactly like Bill. You had Jessica Chastain, who looked exactly like Beverly. You had Isaiah Mustafa, who looked exactly like Mike. The actor who played Eddie and Ben, they looked exactly like their character counterpoints, which was one of the many mistakes that was part of the miniseries, is that the kids looked nothing like the adults did. And that's one of my main criticisms of the film. Bill Skarsgård does an amazing job as Pennywise, but as I said, you don't see a lot of him. It's not Pennywise. It's not necessarily Pennywise's story. Bill Hader steals the show as Richie. He absolutely steals the show. If you go watch this film for anything, you have to watch it for Bill Hader's performance. The absolute picture-perfect, picture copy of Richie. Just magnificent. I never knew Bill Hader could act. Man, he could really act. Just pure talent on display in this film. By far. The true show stealer. Jessica Chastain does an amazing job as Beverly. James McAvoy does a brilliant job as Bill. Isaiah Mustafa does a great job as Mike. But as I said, it's the film can't really necessarily go that much deeper in detail with the characters, because then instead of a 3-hour movie, you're talking about maybe a 5 or 6 hour movie, which obviously is not going to fly in the theater. With that said, but as I could say that with sincere honesty, that this film does more or less have a lot more comedy implemented within the structure of the film, where it's not solely focusing on the horror. I mean, there is a lot of horror, there are a lot of creepy moments, and there's a lot of atmosphere, and that's what I really enjoy about the film as well. It's focusing more on the atmospheric element rather than simply trying to scare the viewers. Makes you uncomfortable, yes, but there are a lot of moments that are absolutely terrifying and funny. The comedy comes from Bill Hader as Richie. He has a lot of amusing and hilarious one-liners that just make you laugh. I mean, they make you smile, they make you laugh. I can also say with honesty that the film's ending is, especially the final battle between Pennywise and the Losers Club, is a lot more different than the ending of the classic miniseries. One of the problems with a lot of Stephen King adaptations is when they return into cinematic depictions is how they didn't necessarily have the budget to, I guess, capture the full scope of what he was presenting within his storyline. And because of that, I felt that the films typically tended to suffer from the director wanted to be faithful to the concept, but not able to fully capture Stephen King's vision. In the ending in the final battle of this, obviously they had the budget to really showcase Pennywise's... I guess I'm going to go ahead and... It's a minor spoiler. You see Pennywise's true form, but it's not as scary as we were hoping it, as I was hoping to be. I was hoping something more grotesque and more... I guess that's one of my minor complaints about the film, is the fact that it's not... Reading the book, when you read about Pennywise's... And even then, that's not his true form. But when I read about the description from the novel as Pennywise's Earth form, if you will, it was so horrifying and chilling that I found myself just getting goosebumps. And it's not fully captured in this film, I will say that. But again, it's not a huge deterrence for anyone, or even me personally. But for what they were able to do and capture, I thought they did an amazing job. It Chapter 2 is a great, fantastic horror ride. And I give it a 5 out of 5. I give it 2 thumbs up. I fully recommend it. Once again, people, it is 3 hours long. And when you go watch it, be prepared to sit there for a while. Well, sit there for exactly 3 hours. It doesn't... There were moments where I felt it, but I didn't feel it in so much in the sense that it was a bad film. I just felt it because I'm not used to sitting still for 3 hours. I mean, I did it for Infinity War, I did it for Endgame, and I remember prior to those films, I did it for all 3 of Lord of the Rings films. So it is possible for me to sit there for 3 hours, but at the age of 38, sitting there for 3 hours gets to be a chore. But at no point was I bored with the film at all, and it doesn't drag. It doesn't drag to the point to where it feels like a slog to get through. It flows exponentially well. It does a great job. And I'm going to go ahead once again and give it a 2 thumbs up. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Just a little minor nitpick with the ending final climactic battle between Pennywise and the Losers Club. But other than that, they were very faithful to the novel. They captured it. They tried it. They put as much of the novel into one film as they possibly could. But overall, I enjoyed it. I fully recommend it for anyone who was interested in watching it this weekend. Take your friends. I don't recommend bringing your kids to watch it, but I did see a lot of parents bringing their kids to watch this film tonight. So who knows? I'll probably see a lot of parents doing the same thing this weekend. But recommend it for anyone. Recommend it for everybody who is interested in watching it. I hope everybody does get a chance to watch it this weekend. I don't know when my next review will be. I'll have to take a look at the next release dates and films to see what will most likely garner a review. But either way, I hope to see you all guys this weekend. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.